In this today's lecture, we are going to discuss about the liquid state. Now, it is a part of the states of matter, that is the gaseous state. After the gaseous state, we have a small topic, liquid state. In liquid state, we know the intermolecular force of attractions are very stronger as compared to gaseous state and weaker as compared in solid state. Liquids have no definite shape because the molecules in the liquid are in state of continuous random rapid motion. And some other properties of liquids, they have a definite volume. Yes, liquids have much higher density than the gases. Yes, liquids are much less compressible as gases because the distance between the particles, that is the molecules of a liquids, are very small or less as compared to gases. That's why liquids are almost or less compressible. Liquids are diffused like gases but much slower. Okay, now what are the some characteristic properties of liquids? Now the first characteristic property of liquids, nothing but the evaporation or vaporization. We know when temperature of a liquid increases, what happens? Liquid molecules try to escape into the gas phase or a vapor phase. This phenomena is known as a evaporation or vaporization. Now in the summer, due to high temperature of the earth, on the surface of the earth, the water will get what? Vaporized or evaporized? Vaporization. Okay. Now it is a spontaneous process. The evaporation or vaporization is a which phenomena? Spontaneous phenomena. Okay. The process of conversion of a liquid into vapor. It is the spontaneous process of conversion of a liquid into vapor is called what? Evaporation or vaporization. Now the evaporation or vaporization is a endothermic process. That means we require energy. When we increase the temperature in the form of heat energy, then liquid get converted into what? Vapor. This phenomena is called what? Evaporation or vaporization. Evaporation or vaporization will occur at every temperature. Are you getting my point? The molecules at the surface of a liquid will have more kinetic energy than the molecules in the bulk. Now if you apply the kinetic molecular theory to liquids also, the liquid molecules, what they do, they try to collide with each other and also they try to collide with the walls of the container in which they are present. During this collision, what happens? The kinetic energy of the molecules keeping on changes. Now on the surface of the liquid, the molecules which have more kinetic energy as compared to the rest of the molecules, because in the bulk of the system the molecules are equally attracted by all of its neighbors, but on the surface of the liquid only those molecules which are present interior of the liquid surface only they attract the molecule. That's why the surface of a molecules have more kinetic energy as compared to the rest of the molecules in the bulk. The molecules which possess more kinetic energy, they try to overcome the intermolecular force of attraction of their neighboring molecules. So once they overcome the intermolecular force of attraction of their neighboring molecule, they try to escape into the space. Such phenomena is known as evaporation or vaporization. Are you getting my point? Now during the evaporation or vaporization, the kinetic energy of the rest of the liquid molecules, what happens? Decreases. That's why cooling of liquid takes place. That is the rapid cooling of liquid takes place due to rapid evaporation. Rapid evaporation leads to the cooling phenomenon. We know the water in the mud pot will cool due to rapid evaporation of water due to rapid evaporation of water through the small pores of the pot. Okay, so more, that is the rapid evaporation leads to cooling effect. Are you getting my point? The next one, what is the definition of a rate of evaporation? It is the number of molecules of a liquid that escape from the surface of a liquid in a unit time interval. In a unit time interval. The rate of evaporation especially depending upon the following parameter. Number one, nature of the liquid, because in each liquid there is some characteristic intermolecular force of attraction to small extent to the large extent. Are you getting my point? Let's suppose petrol, if you see in petrol the liquid molecules possess weak intermolecular force of attraction, so they have a great tendency to escape into the space by overcome the neighboring molecular force of attraction. So that's why the rate of evaporation strictly depend upon the nature of the liquid. Are you getting my point? Number 2, surface area. If the surface area increases, more number of molecules try to escape into the vapor phase. So that's why rate of evaporation also increases with increasing of the surface area. Now the temperature, this is a very important parameter. So as the temperature increases, we know kinetic energy of the molecule increases. Once the kinetic energy of the molecule increases, those molecules which possess more kinetic energy, they try to overcome the neighboring molecular force of attraction, and they escape into the space. So the rate of evaporation increases by increasing of the temperature. And number 4, flow of air current over the surface of a liquid. Are you getting my point? On the surface of a liquid, flow of air current over the surface of a liquid directly proportional to the rate of evaporation. Are you getting my point? Now, similarly, what is the definition of a rate of condensation? This is the rate of what? Rate of condensation. What is the rate of condensation? It is the number of vapor molecules that condensing on the surface of a liquid in a unit time interval. It is reverse to that of the rate of evaporation. In the rate of evaporation, what happens? The number of liquid molecules, they try to escape into the vapor phase per unit time, and the reverse process, that is the condensation process, in which the molecules in the vapor form, they condense onto the surface of the liquid in a unit time interval. Okay, that is called rate of condensation. Now these two phenomena are completely opposite reactions. Now in a closed vessel, at a certain time of interval, at a particular time of interval, both rate of forward reaction will be equal to the rate of backward reaction, that is the rate of evaporation will be equal to the rate of what? Condensation. So to attain the equilibrium, so here liquid is there, on the right hand side vapor will be there, liquid converted into vapor and vapor converted into liquid. At a particular time of interval, the rate of forward reaction will be equal to the rate of backward reaction. Rate of forward reaction will be equal to rate of backward reaction. Are you getting my point? Now if you see in this diagram, I am taking some liquid. Okay, now on the surface of a liquid there are some vapors, and it is a closed vessel. It is completely what? Closed vessel. What happens? The vapor cannot escape from the vessel because the vessel is completely sealed. So the vapors, after a certain time of interval, again they try to collide, and due to attractive force on the surface of a liquid, they return back onto the surface. Okay, the forward reaction rate of evaporation, and the backward reaction is rate of condensation. Okay, now here what is the definition of a vapor pressure? It is the pressure exerted by the vapor on the surface of a liquid when both are in the equilibrium in a closed container at a constant temperature, because the vapor pressure depend upon the temperature. That's why whenever we are writing the vapor pressure, so we have to keep in our mind that the temperature must be constant. Are you getting my point? That means here you have a one closed container, okay, in which we are taking some liquid. The liquid molecules, what they do? They try to escape into the vapor. This phenomena is called evaporation or vaporization. After a certain period of time, the vapors, they try to return back onto the surface of the liquid, We know pressure is nothing but force acting per unit area. So due to vapor exerting the pressure on the surface of a liquid, such vapor, that pressure is known as what? Vapor pressure of the liquid. Are you getting my point? Vapor pressure of a liquid depending upon the nature of a liquid, because the vapor pressure mainly depend upon the intermolecular force of attraction. If the intermolecular force of attractions are very weak, then the vapor pressure will be increases. That means we can say that vapor pressure of a liquid is inversely proportional to intermolecular forces. Intermolecular force of attractions. That means as the intermolecular force of attraction increases, vapor pressure decreases. Otherwise, intermolecular force of attractions increases, vapor pressure decreases. Otherwise, intermolecular force of attraction decreases, then the vapor pressure increases. And the second parameter, temperature, just now I told you, as the temperature increases, the kinetic energy of a molecule increases, thereby the tendency to escape into the vapor phase increases, thereby the vapor pressure of the liquid also increases. And one more important thing is the purity of the liquid. That means if the liquid is pure or impure, based upon that also the vapor pressure of a liquid changes. Okay. Now at a given temperature, the vapor pressure of a liquid will be independent on the quantity of a liquid. That means if you take the 1 liter liquid or if you take the half liter liquid, irrespective of the amount of the liquid, the vapor pressure at a constant temperature will be constant. That is same. Given. Okay. Now the shape of a vessel, independent on the shape of the vessel and independent on the surface area, because the pressure nothing but force acting per unit area. Force acting per unit area. Are you getting my point? And the vapor pressure directly related to rate of evaporation, directly proportional to temperature, directly proportional to volatile nature. Volatility nothing but the tendency to escape into the gas phase or a vapor phase. But inversely proportional to intermolecular force of attraction. Just now I told you the vapor pressure will be inversely proportional to intermolecular force of attractions. Are you getting my point? Now, what is the effect of temperature on the vapor pressure of a liquid? This is a very important topic. As the temperature increases, we know kinetic energy of a molecule increases. When the kinetic energy of a molecule increases, the molecules which possess more kinetic energy, what they do? They try to escape into the vapor, and so that the vapor pressure of a liquid increases. Clausius and Clapeyron, these are the two people who are theoretically developed a relation between the vapor pressure of a liquid versus temperature of a liquid. Okay. Now here the relation is the relation between the temperature and vapor pressure. Here this is the actual relation between the vapor pressure versus temperature. Okay. Now what is the P here? Vapor pressure of a liquid at a temperature T Kelvin. Here A will be a proportionality constant, E will be a exponent, delta HV, that is the enthalpy of evaporation of a liquid, that is the amount of heat energy required to convert the 1 mole of a liquid into 1 mole of a vapor at a constant temperature, where R is called gas constant. Where R is called what? Gas constant. So P is equal to, what is the formula here? P is equal to A into e to the power minus delta HV divided by RT. So this is the relation between temperature versus vapor pressure. Are you getting my point? Now here what I am doing, I am applying the logarithm on both sides. If you see natural logarithm, that is the ln nothing but log to the base e is indirectly nothing but ln. Are you getting my point? Ln, otherwise log to the base e. If you apply the logarithm on both sides, ln p ln a into e to the power minus delta HV by RT. We know log property, log AB nothing but log A plus log B. Log A plus log B. So ln A plus ln e to the power of minus delta HV by RT. And one more property of logarithm, we know log x to the power n will be equal to n log x. Log x to the power of n will be equal to n log x. So here the minus delta HV by RT will be come to the front side, and ln E, that means logarithm E to the base E will be equal to what? 1. So ln E value is what? 1. And one more important thing, whenever we are converting the natural logarithm, that is the base E to the base 10. That means let's suppose log x, this will be the base E, nothing but ln x. To convert into base 10, we have to multiply with 2.303. We have to multiply with what? 2.303, so that we will get log x. Now the base will be what? 10. Here base will be E, here base will be 10. Base will be E, that is the natural logarithm. To convert the natural logarithm into the logarithm to the base 10, we have to multiply with whom? 2.303. Now here I am ln P. Here if you convert this logarithm, here ln P will be minus delta HV by, I am writing 1 by T outside. So ln A. Why? Because if you observe this expression, it is in the form of y is equal to minus mx plus c. This will be in the form of y is equal to minus mx plus c, where slope will be minus delta HV by R. Are you getting my point? If you convert this ln into the logarithm, that will be the base 10. Just now I told you we have to multiply with 2.303. So we have to multiply here 2.303 and also here 2.303, because only on left side and right side there is a natural logarithm. After that, if you divide it by 2.303, you will get the final expression, that is the log p to the base 10 equal to minus delta h v by 2.303 r into 1 by t log a. Here the logarithm to the base what? 10. Are you getting my point? So this is a very important expression regarding the temperature versus vapor pressure. If it is also in the form of y is equal to minus mx plus c. Y is equal to minus mx plus c. If the temperature changes, vapor pressure also changes. Let's suppose I am taking a T1 temperature, where at the T1 temperature the vapor pressure will be let's suppose P1. So I am taking log P1 will be equal to minus delta HV divided by 2.303 capital R, okay, into I am taking the temperature T1 Kelvin plus log of A is a constant, that's why I am writing as it is. Let's suppose this will be the equation 1, okay. Now at a certain temperature T2, the vapor pressure of a liquid will be P2, so that's why log P2 will be equal to minus delta HV divided by 2.303 capital R into 1 by T2 plus log A is a constant, that's why. Now this is equation number 2. If you subtract the equation 1 from equation 2, that means 2 minus 1, on the left side you will get log P2 minus P1, okay, will be equal to on the right side minus delta H 2.303 capital R into 1 by T2 minus of minus plus delta HV by 2.303 capital R into 1 by T1. So in both sides log A will get cancelled out, okay. After simplification you will get this expression, that is the log of P2 by P1 will be equal to delta H in delta HV by 2.303 capital R into 1 by T2 minus 1 by T1. So just we have to remember this expression whenever two different temperatures are given, and at one temperature vapor pressure is given and in another temperature we have to find the vapor pressure, then this relation will be very useful. Are you getting my point? What is the delta HV? Enthalpy of vaporization of a liquid. What is the R? Gas constant. Remember, delta HV and R should have same units, should mention in same units. Are you getting my point? Suppose if the delta H value given in kilojoule, then R value must be in kilojoule. If the delta H value given in calories, then R value must be in calories. What is the P1? Vapor pressure of a liquid at a temperature T1 Kelvin. And what is the P2? Vapor pressure of a liquid at a temperature T2 Kelvin. Are you getting my point? Now, here just now I told you the graph that is equal to y is equal to minus mx plus c. On the y-axis we are taking the logarithm of vapor pressure. On the x-axis we are taking the 1 by t, that is the temperature, okay, 1 by temperature or temperature inverse. Then you will get a straight line with a negative slope. What is the negative slope here? Minus delta HV by 2.303. Here this is the slope of the straight line. That will be minus delta HV by 2.303 capital R. Are you getting my point? Now here there is a one more important definition, that is called what? Boiling temperature of a liquid or boiling point. What is the boiling point or a boiling temperature of a liquid? It is a temperature at which the vapor pressure of a liquid will be equal to the external pressure. The temperature at where the vapor pressure of a liquid will be equal to the external pressure is referred as what? Boiling point or boiling temperature. At that pressure only. Now generally the external pressure, we will consider the external pressure as a 1 atmosphere, otherwise 76 centimeter of mercury level height. This is the normal atmospheric pressure. Are you getting my point? Now here at 1 atmospheric pressure, the boiling point is referred as a normal boiling point. But whereas at 1 bar pressure, the boiling point is referred as a standard boiling point. Is referred as a standard boiling point. The standard boiling point of a liquid is slightly less than the normal boiling point, because the 1 bar value is slightly less than the 1 atm, or 1 atm is slightly greater than the 1 bar. Do you know, for liquid water the normal boiling point will be 100 degrees Celsius, otherwise 373 Kelvin. This is called normal boiling point. This normal boiling point corresponding to 1 atmosphere external pressure. But whereas if you see the standard boiling point of liquid water, that is equal to 99.6 degrees Celsius, otherwise 372.6 Kelvin. This is the external pressure corresponding to what? 1 bar. Do you know the relation between 1 atm and 1 bar? Yes, 1 atm will be equal to 1.01325 bar, otherwise 1 bar will be equal to 0.9837 atmospheres. Okay. Now here the important thing is the vapor pressure, the external pressure on the boiling point of a liquid. What is the effect of a external pressure on the boiling point of a liquid? We know what is the definition of a boiling point. It is a temperature at where the vapor pressure of a liquid will be equal to the external pressure. Okay. Now here, as the external pressure decreases, that means the liquid will boil at low temperature, because the vapor pressure of a liquid, which must be equal to the external pressure. If the external pressure decreases, the vapor pressure also decreases. When the vapor pressure will decreases, in the sense the liquid will boil at low temperature only. That means the boiling point will decrease as the external pressure decreases. Otherwise, if the external pressure increases, when the external pressure increases, what happens? The vapor pressure of a liquid has to be equal to external pressure at the boiling point. That means if the external pressure increases, that means the vapor pressure of a liquid must be increased, which is equal to the external pressure. That means we have to increase the temperature of a liquid so that its vapor pressure increases, and thereby which is equal to the external pressure. That means the boiling point of liquid increases with increasing of external pressure, and the boiling point of a liquid decreases with the decreasing of the external pressure. That is the pressure on the surface. Are you getting my point? Surface of the liquid. So finally what we can say, the boiling point of a liquid is directly proportional to whom? External pressure. Are you getting my point? This is very important. If you see at high altitudes, in the high hill stations, there will be a vapor pressure less. That's why the liquids boils at low temperature only. And one more important point, at high hill stations, pressure cooker is essential for cooking of the food. Are you getting my point? Now here there is a graph regarding the vapor pressure versus temperature. Vapor pressure directly proportional to temperature. Are you getting my point? If you see, this is the y-axis where the vapor pressure, and this is the x-axis where the temperature is taken. Now if you see different liquids, I am taking the ether liquid, I am taking the acetone, and I am taking the benzene, I am taking the water. Now if you see ether, if you see at corresponding to 1 atmospheric pressure, the boiling point of ether, this is the boiling point of ether. But same at 1 atmospheric pressure, what is the boiling point of liquid water? This is the boiling point of. Do you know what is the boiling point of liquid water? That is the normal boiling point of a liquid water. That will be the 100 degrees Celsius. If you see the ether, which is less than the 30 degrees, nearly room temperature, the ether will get evaporated. Are you getting my point? So here, if you see the vapor pressure versus temperature, if you observe, ether possesses high vapor pressure, that's why it has low boiling point, whereas water possesses low vapor pressure, it has high boiling point. That means here we can, one important point we can conclude. What is the conclusion here? We can say that vapor pressure boiling point, vapor pressure inversely proportional to boiling point. The liquids whose boiling point is very high, they possess low vapor pressure. Otherwise, the liquids whose boiling point is less, they possess high vapor pressure. If the vapor pressure is very high, they are called volatile liquids. If the vapor pressure is very low, they are called non-volatile liquids at room temperature. Are you getting my point? Now here, the next one more important topic of liquids are surface tension. What is the surface tension? It is one of the important characteristic properties of a liquid. The surface tension giving the stretching property to the surface of a liquid. the force acting along the surface of a liquid, the force acting along the surface of a liquid at right angles to any line of 1 unit length is called surface tension. That means now this is the 1 unit length of a surface. This is the perpendicular force, that is the right angle force, which is acting on the 1 unit length of a surface. This is called what? Surface tension. Surface tension is nothing but force divided by length. Force divided by what? Length. Surface tension is nothing but what? Force divided by length. The another definition for the surface tension, it is the energy required to increase the surface area of a liquid by 1 unit. It is also referred as a surface tension, otherwise the surface energy. Are you getting my point? Let's suppose you consider one liquid. Now here what happens, if you see the liquid molecule at the interior, so all the liquid molecules of its neighbors are equally attracting the bulk molecule. But if you observe the same liquid molecule on the surface, those molecules which are interior side, they are pulling the liquid towards downward direction. Are you getting my? Due to which its surface area what happens? Decreases, because it is pulling towards downward direction. So due to which its surface area decreases. Okay. Otherwise, if you increase the temperature of this molecule, again its surface energy increases. That tension is known as a surface tension. That energy is known as a surface energy. Are you getting my point? What are the units here? Force per length, so Newton per meter, dyne per centimeter, and other units are joule per meter square, egg per centimeter square. Surface tension is numerically dimensionally equal to whom? Surface energy. Okay. Do you know surface energy? Here work divided by area. Okay. So the definition, the energy required to increase the surface area by 1 unit. So work done per unit area. So work done divided by area. Work done we know force multiplied by length divided by area, nothing but length into length. So here length square, otherwise length, one length, here one length gets cancelled. Finally you will get the unit force upon length. So what is the force upon length here? Surface tension. Surface energy, surface tension, both are numerically dimensionally equal. Okay. Now the liquids with the lowest energy of the surface area, the liquids have the lowest energy when the surface area will be minimum. Now out of all the shapes of which shape has the minimum surface area? That will be the sphere, because sphere has the least or minimum surface area. That's why the liquid molecules, in order to get the lowest energy, they try to accumulate the minimum surface area in the form of a sphere only, in the form of a spherical or sphere. What is the effect of temperature on the surface tension? Now the surface tension of a liquid arises because of what? Intermolecular force of attractions. The intermolecular force of attractions occurring between the liquid molecules. Now as the temperature increases, when the temperature increases, what happens? The kinetic energy of a liquid molecule increases. When the kinetic energy of a liquid molecule increases, the molecule, what they do? They move far away from each other. They overcome the intermolecular force of attraction. Once the molecules overcome their intermolecular force of attraction, that means their surface tension decreases. Surface tension, what happens? Decreases. Now the important thing, at a critical temperature, where at a critical temperature the surface tension of a liquid becomes 0. At this temperature, the meniscus of liquid and vapor get disappear. The meniscus means that the boundary between the liquid and vapor get what happens? Disappear. Now here one relation is there between the surface tension versus temperature. Here the gamma, this is the surface tension, okay, is equal to K into Tc minus T. What is the Tc? Critical temperature. Okay, rho divided by m whole to the power 2 by 3, where rho is defined as the density, m molar mass, Tc will be the critical temperature, T will be the temperature of a liquid at which the measurement is carried. and K is a proportionality constant, and gamma is what? Surface tension. Let's suppose here instead of temperature, if you put the critical temperature, so you will get 0. So 0 into anything becomes 0. That means at critical temperature, the surface tension of a liquid becomes what? 0. Are you getting my point? Now the next one, applications of surface tension. Applications of what? Surface tension. Now we just explain spherical shape of a droplets of a liquid. The lowest energy state of a liquid will be when the surface area is minimum. In which form of liquid the surface area will be minimum? In the spherical form. That's why the liquid droplets accumulate the spherical shape. So here if you see, this is the inward pulling of surface tension makes the drop in a which form? Spherical form. All the interior forces pulling the molecule towards interior direction resulting in the form of a spherical or a sphere. Okay. Now the second application, fire polishing of glass. Fire polishing of glass. Sharp glass edges, if you see, when they are heated to make them smooth. So the sharp glass edges on heating, what happens? They become what? Smooth. Due to heating of glass, it will melt it and makes a rounded shape at the edges. Are you getting my point? Which has a minimum surface area. This is called fire polishing of glass. Once again, the sharp glass edges on heating, what happens? Glass melted. After melting of glass, the surface of the glass, what happens? It will be rounded up in the form of a spherical shape, due to which, because in the surface of a sphere only there will be a minimum energy. There will be a minimum energy. This phenomena is known as a fire polishing of glass. Fire polishing of glass. Okay. Now, next one more. Liquid tend to rise or fall in the capillary due to surface tension. This is due to surface tension. Rising of liquid or falling of a liquid in a capillary tube is because of surface tension. Liquids wet the things because they spread across their surface as a thin film. Most of the soil grains are pulled together because the surface area of thin film of water, what happens? Reduces, due to which they try to minimize the surface area by accumulating the sphere or spherical shape. Now the soaps and detergents added to the water to decrease its surface tension known as a surfactants. Known as what? Surfactants. And there are some liquids whose surface tension order is given below. Water has higher surface tension, then carbon tetrachloride, then acetone, then ethanol, and finally diethyl ether. Okay. And the last one more topic of liquids, that is called viscosity. What is the definition of a viscosity? Now it is one of the important characteristic properties of liquids. Now it is the internal resistance to flow of a liquid. It is what? Internal resistance to flow of a liquid. That is the internal friction to flow of a liquid. Are you getting my point? Strong intermolecular force of attractions between the successive layers of a liquid holding them together shows resistance to flow of a liquid. It is the resistance to stop the flow of a liquid. Are you getting my point? Now if you observe liquid, in a liquid there are different layers. In each successive layer, if you observe, the distance between any two successive layers will be dx. Okay. And from, if you see, from lower layer to upper layer as we move, from lower layer to upper layer as we move, what happens? Velocity keeping on increases. Speed or velocity from the bottom layer to top layer, what happens? Increases. Now this is the last layer, that is the bottom layer, which is called as a fixed horizontal surface layer, where it is called a stationary layer. That's why we are taking the velocity of the last layer, that is which is contact to the surface, whose velocity assumed to be constant or zero. As we move from bottom layer to top layer, velocity gradually, what happens? Increases. If you see any three successive layers, the middle layer has velocity v, and its upper layer has velocity v plus dv, and its bottom layer has velocity v minus dv. Are you getting my point? It is found it is found that there is a regular gradation of velocity of layers as we are passing from one layer to next layer. So there is a regular changing in the velocity, that is called laminar flow. This velocity is called what? Laminar flow. Now it is observed that the force that is responsible for the internal friction is directly proportional to area of the contact and also directly proportional to velocity gradient. What is the velocity gradient? dv by dx. Okay, by removing the proportionality constant, we are writing a coefficient, proportionality coefficient, that is called coefficient of viscosity. This is called eta. Coefficient of viscosity, this is called eta. Are you getting my point? How to define the coefficient of viscosity? From the above expression, what is the eta? Eta will be equal to force divided by area into dx divided by dv. Are you getting my point? Now here, how to define the coefficient of viscosity? It is the force of attraction in dynes required to maintain a velocity of 1 unit, that is a 1 centimeter per second, between the two parallel layers of distance 1 centimeter and having the cross section area 1 centimeter square. That means force will be 1 dyne and the velocity will be 1 centimeter per second, distance will be 1 centimeter and the cross section area will be 1 centimeter square. Are you getting my point? Here the force expressed in the dynes and the area will be in the centimeter square. Here the distance again centimeter, the velocity in the CGS unit centimeter per second. After simplification you will get the dyne centimeter square, dyne per centimeter square into second. This quantity is referred as 1 poise. 1 poise. What is the 1 poise? 1 dyne centimeter to the power minus 2 second. Okay. Coefficient of viscosity neta is equal to F by A into dx by dt, where F is called what? Force. We know the formula of force. F is equal to m into A. Here dx divided by area into dv. Okay. Now what is the mass unit here in CGS? Grams. Are you getting my point? Here acceleration due to gravity centimeter per second square and the distance dx, that will be the centimeter, divided by area centimeter square, again the velocity centimeter per second. After simplification you will get gram per centimeter per second. So this is also called 1 poise. Are you getting my point? 1 poise nothing but 1 gram per centimeter per second, otherwise we can say dyne per centimeter square second. Are you getting mine? So the poise can also express in terms of centipoise, millipoise. So these centipoise and millipoise are small units. What? Small units regarding the coefficient of viscosity. The SI unit Newton per meter square second, otherwise Pascal second, otherwise kg per meter per second. So 1 poise will be equal to, just now I told you, 1 gram per centimeter per second, that is equal to 0.1 kilogram per meter per second. 0.1 kilogram per meter per second. Now viscosity increases, the flow of liquid decreases. That means high viscous, low viscous. Basically there are two types of liquids. High viscous, the liquids whose viscosity is very high, they are called high viscous and they flow very slowly. Okay, and the liquids which have low viscosity, they are called low viscous, they flow very fast. Hydrogen bonding and also van der Waals force of attraction is responsible for high viscosity of a liquids. As the temperature increases, what happens? Viscosity decreases, because as the kinetic energy increases, thereby the molecules that overcome the intermolecular forces. Glass is an example. Glass is a extremely high viscous liquid, and the properties of these glass resemble like a solid. So that's why glass is known as a super cooled liquid. Glass is referred as a what? Super cooled liquid. Okay, or it is also called a pseudo solid. It is also called what? Pseudo solid. However, the properties of flow of glass can be experienced by measuring the thickness of window panes of a old building. Now, if you see, this is a old glass pan, window pane of old glass building. If you see, these are the glass particles. Just now I told you they have a flow of tendency. When these gas particles, due to gravity, they moving downward. So in the bottom, if you see the glass particles will be very high as compared to upper, that is the top. That means here at the bottom, thickness of glass increase as compared to the top of the glass. So this will be explained the fluidity, the flow of the glass molecules. Are you getting my point? Now here the coefficient of viscosity neta, there is a one formula which is equal to A into e to the power of EA by RT, where A comma EA are the constant parameters for a given liquid. R just now told you gas constant, and T is the absolute temperature. Okay. Now here if you apply the logarithm, that is the natural logarithm on both sides, ln, that is the logarithm to the base e on both sides. Okay. Now on the right side you have log AB form, which is equal to log A plus log B, and one more log x to the power of n is equal to n log x. Ln E value equal to 1. So we know, just now I told you, logarithm base e to convert into logarithm base 10, we have to multiply with 2.303. After simplification you will get ln coefficient of viscosity, logarithm to the base 10, coefficient of viscosity will be equal to EA by 2.303 capital R into 1 by T plus log A. Again it is in the form of y is equal to mx plus c, where m is the slope, that is equal to EA by 2.303 R. On the y-axis, logarithm of coefficient of viscosity to the base 10. On the x-axis, reciprocal of the temperature, that is the 1 by T. So there are some liquids at 20 degrees Celsius, the coefficient of viscosity will be expressed in the millipoise. Example, ethylene glycinol. First of all, glycinol greater than the ethylene glycol, greater than the acetic acid, greater than the ethyl alcohol, which is greater than water, and greater than carbon tetrachloride, which is greater than acetone, and least value will be diethyl ether. Okay. The reciprocal of the coefficient of viscosity is called what? Fluidity. The reciprocal of the coefficient of viscosity is referred as what? Fluidity. Are you getting my point?